On today's Minute of the Apes, it's a Monday. We're doing this early. No one's got a tease.
Exercise with an ape maker, human down. Then talks. Nothing is of the divine bound. We are determined to know what the apes want, war or peace. And if it is man's destiny one day to be dominated, then oh please God, let him be dominated by such as you.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. It's an early morning on a Saturday when we record this. Over there being quiet is Sean. Sean, are you sleepy too?
Oh, gosh, you sounded so tired in that tease.
Oh. And then we, on the other end of this line, a very sweet face, almost cherub-like Richard is standing there, but over his shoulder is Scary Caesar backdrop.
Have you been up for hours and already done 3 workouts and stuff like that?
No, I haven't had a chance. No.
Man, I'm just sitting here nursing coffee, hoping that I stay awake.
I'm drinking water.
Sean's rubbing his eyes. I think Sean literally rolled right out of bed and got on the podcast.
Well, yeah, I got up about 40 minutes ago, yeah.
Man, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that if I wanted to. I really need that, that 15, 20-minute buffer to wake myself up to the world before I do anything.
Well, that was 40 minutes ago.
I guess so.
You would have had 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are so enthralled to begin our week. Sean, why don't you tell us what's going on with this minute?
All right. We're going to start minute 41 with Lisa walking towards Caesar and ends with a weeping Caesar looking around pensively.
Let's take a listen to this weeping Caesar-ish moment of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
As in minute 41, we have a courtyard with the gorillas, chimpanzees, and orangutans, imported apes, Caesar, and a planet's worth of humans.
Man, all right, so we're living in the shadow of Armando going splat. And I got a question. If the thing that hits me right away is Lisa cannot speak, therefore Lisa cannot understand English. Would that be a fair... Other than, Sean loves to say this, your dog can understand commands and things like that, but she cannot understand the intricacies of this language, correct?
Correct.
Then how the fuck does she know that Armando's dead and that he should be sad?
That's my note. Why did Lisa know to comfort him, go and do is all the words that they know?
I would just disagree a little bit. I think that there's a lot more understanding these apes. They can work in a restaurant. They can be told to light a cigarette. They can apparently prepare food, all sorts of things like that. So I think they just can't speak. They have maybe the intelligence of like a dog, like a 3 or 4 year old. So they can understand emotions and situations, and sadness. But I don't.
But Lisa doesn't know that Caesar knows Armando And so Lisa doesn't know that Caesar is affected by what these guys have said. So,
and she doesn't remember. She doesn't remember them from the bookstore.
Yeah, I would definitely think that she, remembers them. She saw them not only at the bookstore, but then that weird exchange on the street where they actually cut around what was supposed to happen from the script.
And yeah, she might remember that, but she doesn't know that person equals Armando. So when they're saying Armando, they could be talking about anybody. And so that doesn't mean anything to Lisa. And
well, they say circus owner. They don't say Armando. So again, she might have connected that circus owner was him.
But yeah, so how does she know the circus owner is going to affect Caesar?
Because she remembers him from the bookshop where they're passing out flyers for the circus.
Richard, a lot of times I give you a lot of leeway on that, but I have to agree with Sean. She would not have the cognitive abilities to say, "Wow, I've seen this, learned this, understand this."
All right. So, if your 3-year-old saw you upset, would your 3-year-old comfort you?
Yes, that is fair. I still don't think that she would, in this moment, go, "Oh, he is sad, and this is why he is sad."
But she doesn't. She can't talk. She didn't say that. She just comforts him.
She batted
the
her.
Audience,
she batted
the audience
her eyes.
reads into it what they want. Well, I mean that's how Natalie Trendy knows how to work this prosthetic is to bat those big eyelashes.
Oh.
But it works. I mean, she can't be Zira, so she has to do something different. And the apes at this time are slightly more primitive, so therefore that might be the only way she can really contort her understanding of her face is by batting her eyelashes.
When we get into the new movies, you'll see that there are apes that are more aware. There are apes that are aware. There are apes that are just sort of apish, but they still find ways to communicate. And
they use natural ape communications. The subservient thing where they put out hands toward each other, that they want to touch hands and stuff like that.
And I think that's. And I do not fault Natalie for this. I do not fault Roddy. I fault, again, the studio getting in the way and saying this has got to be quick, because you think about that with maybe a full day to shoot this scene, because this scene really should be longer than it is. It's very quick. We get into it, and then when we get out of it, it's jarringly quick. But given the time to explore what the creatures would do and what they would think and how they would behave, maybe they could have helped Natalie get to something a little more interesting. But
did they tell you what the script says?
Yes, I'd love to know.
Mm-hmm. At the word circus owner, Caesar looks up startled. Lisa, standing nearby, notes his reaction and is puzzled. Caesar struggles to resume his impassive expression.
Okay, well, see, then that she's puzzled.
So think of it this way.
We don't see her puzzled. We don't see her puzzled. We just see her react.
Right.
And they don't mature. Imagine if she had a quizzical look on her face, like what's wrong, and maybe a tear went to his eye, and then if she even brushed that tear away, I know that's very human-like instead of ape-like, but those kind of things would have said something about them.
Think of it this way.
There's some go ahead. Sorry. There's some dialogue.
By your description of the script, he gets startled and she comes over and comforts him. Well, by that logic, anytime an ape gets startled, another ape is coming over and comforting them. Wouldn't they have broken them of that? Somebody's scared, go over and comfort them, because that's going to just slow down their workforce. Every time somebody gets startled, half of them goes and comforts him.
There's nothing in the script that says that she comforts him. So you just said in the script she comforts him. It's not in here. She struggles. She's standing nearby, notes his reactions, and is puzzled. Caesar struggles to resume his impassive expression. Then there's the back and forth with Breck, and the only thing after that is fighting for control. Armando weaves slightly. Lisa reaches out, gently steadies him. Caesar. Fighting for control, Caesar weaves slightly. Lisa reaches out, gently steadies him. Caesar looks in her eyes, then turns and walks out to the post. There's nothing that says that she's supposed to comfort him in the script.
She's supposed to notice it.
Right. And be puzzled by it, and then steady him when he starts to shake, and then he's supposed to leave. But anything about this, her looking in and batting her eyes and stuff that I guess as actors or directors they gave to try to give the moment more meaning.
I think that, and I hate to beat a dead horse on this, but that sounds again like they did a camera setup. They said, here's what we're shooting. Okay, what are you doing? Hey, we got to crank through this. This should be something that this is what you're feeling. Instead of exploring, you think now they would really get into, okay, I understand, here's what Caesar, but Lisa doesn't understand. They would ask these kind of things, and how would she respond? And God, even with the movies today, they would have the person on set who understands ape behavior and would talk to them and say, well, this is how an ape would. And Richard, when we get there, you'll see that they actually had a lot of people that truly studied ape behavior so they would understand the different things they do. I know that's leaping forward tons and tons of years into filmmaking that is today and not then, but still, this is another absolute example of rushing a scene instead of allowing your actors and your director to work through it. Because you go back to our director's movie, Cape Fear. God, you want to talk about some truly great acting and making sense. When he's given the time, he knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
So from that, it really, what hits me again is another bad example of no transitionary storytelling. We go from the moment between Caesar and Lisa to an incredibly hard cut
to
of
him just
Caesar coming
home,
out,
basically,
up the stairs, unattended to. There's no master with this ape.
And I understand that he's upset, and maybe I don't know how he justified leaving on his own, but he knows that apes are not supposed to be on their own out there. So Armando's dead, and I'm upset about that. But also, am I suicidal now at this point? Why am I by myself out there?
Well, keep in mind the script has him walking away from the command post.
Right.
Lisa steadies him, and the script has him walking out of the command post. There is actually, interestingly, there's an entire conversation about the Achilles list that happens later on in this week. Most of that is actually supposed to take place here in this moment.
Okay.
So when we get to Friday, I'm going to remind you that the entire conversation between Breck and McDonald about the Achilles, or Breck and the assistant, takes place here. But it doesn't. Instead, we jump to the scene of him walking outside, which is kind of supposed to be, I guess, we can talk about it tomorrow. The thing that I was frustrated with this more than anything else is I didn't like all the pedestrians. I'm fine with him coming outside to have a cry and being upset, even alone, because the city is, we have these moments of apes supposed to be outside without authority. I just didn't like all the pedestrians because it felt like that was distracting from his moment.
So I'm fine with his cry also. I think Roddy is magnificent in this moment. I think Roddy gives us what we need in this moment. Where they have to set up Armando's death better, as we talked about before, this would have really paid that moment off. What really bothers me is that hard cut to him going outside. If you had allowed even that breath of a moment that allows the audience to feel the building anxiety within Caesar. When you write a song, you don't make the crescendo of the song just in the middle of the song. You build it, you stack it, you do these things so that when it hits or when you go to your key change, it feels huge. This scene falls a little flat because they don't even give you a moment from what we've had inside. It would have been nice to see Caesar maybe, because he's so smart, he knows he needs to step away. You could have built in a transition where he looks at one of the masters like, here's a trash can, I'm going to go take it out. Anything like that and they go, sure, and he leaves. You don't do anything like that. You don't give him an opportunity to be smart enough to take us outside so he can grieve.
You saying the trash can is almost what I was going to say, because I haven't seen this movie. I've seen this week's worth of minutes, but I have not seen the rest of the movie. But knowing what this is coming up in this week, what they should have done is, like you said, you have a trash can and you see him walking down the hallway, and as he gets towards the end of the hallway, he just drops the trash can. And so you see that he's starting to not give a shit about the humans anymore. He's given up on them. They give him a file. He gets a big handful of file papers that he's going to take somewhere. And as he gets to the end of the corner, he just drops them in the hallway and just walks off.